We heard the word Satan in so many different contexts, religious context, of course, in Hollywood, in mythology, in different expressions. For some, it creates a shudder in the heart. For others, begin to laugh cynically. Everyone has a different reaction to that very word. I want to talk about it both from the biblical context, the Kabbalistic, mystical context, and above all, the practical context, how it relates to our lives. Let's begin with a critical key point, and that is the question of evil itself. Does evil exist? And we know the big famous question, of course, is how can there be evil in the face of a all-pervasive and all-good God? Is that possible? So there are different explanations given to this. Some say evil is an illusion. Some say evil is essentially surrender of God, that he gave up a part of his control to the forces of evil, original sin, and so on. So now, if a person is a non-believer, and I don't even know if there's such a thing, everyone has some belief system, may not be a belief in a deity or a belief in something beyond, but they believe in themselves or they believe in something that they are often not necessarily completely rational. But regardless, it's an intriguing topic for all of us because we all have to deal with the issues of free will, choices of good and evil, what is right and what is wrong. And unfortunately today in the world, as has been throughout history, but today we see it in many new ways, we see evil. We see people doing things that are absolutely, we don't even have words for it, beyond savage, atrocities, brutalities, rapes, abuse of children, killing of children. As a Jew, of course, I'm reminded of what happened close to a year ago, October 7th, in the south of Israel. And we've seen the images, we've heard the reports, and if that's not evil, what is evil? We know about the atrocities perpetrated by the Nazis. We know in other countries, even as we speak, genocides, whether they're collective or individual, tragedies of the worst possible sort. And this is, in all cases I'm describing, as man-to-man, human being perpetrating these injustices against other humans. So where's God in all of this? And that brings us back, of course, is there such a thing as a Satan, as a devil, as an evil angel, that the angel of death? And how do we understand all of that? So the theological position, and I'm speaking from a Jewish perspective, but I believe it's a universal one as well, is that at the end of the day, there is such a thing called evil. However, evil is not created by God. It's created by the void, the vacuum. You can call it the black hole, the space that God allowed for independent consciousness. In other words, just to use a very, very simple example. If I was holding on to my child, an infant, and never let them walk on their own, would they ever learn to walk? No. Because they've never learned to fall and then pick themselves up. You want to be there for them and show them confidence, but you want them to walk on their own, and there's an inevitable aspect of failing the first times. You fall once, 2 times, 3 times. So the need to create independence leaves room for something that may not be exactly as you wish. As your children grow older, they will make mistakes. Should you intervene? Or should you let them learn from their mistakes? Now, obviously, something extremely dangerous. In most cases, it's important to intervene simply because it's so dangerous, it's life and death. But there are many mistakes that we would love to be able to control, but by doing so, we're clipping the wings of our independent child, or independent adult at this point. So in other words, built into independence and autonomy will always be the possibility for making a mistake, inadvertently or even deliberately. If you don't want independence, you won't have mistakes. Then everybody's like a robot, controlled like a puppet, And then, think of the world outside of the human being's free will. The world is the natural world when prey are attacked by predators. It's part of the natural cycle. Life has its balance. Nobody's going to go prosecute a predator for that reason, because that's exactly what they should be doing. That's the nature. In many ways, it actually keeps the balance of not, as we know, when it comes to creatures, as other life forms, we know that the more they multiply, the more they're consumed. And if you don't consume them, they in turn, I remember it was a Yellowstone Park, I think, when they eliminated the wolves. So there was an outbreak of an explosion of elk that literally destroyed all the vegetation. So there's a balance that's kept in motion in the cycles of how nature interacts with each other, the cross-pollination that takes place. But when it comes to human beings, we have the ability to do something that no animal can do, and that's perform genocide. Massacring or killing many people or individuals for no reason at all, simply because we don't like them. Not to eat, it for... So yes, there is the social Darwinism aspect, the justification of survival of the fittest. That's part of human nature. But from this perspective, no, we were created in the divine image. And as such, we're fundamentally good people. And existence is a fundamentally good place. And that is what God created. However, He created independence, the ability to choose. It's a very fascinating Talmudic statement. Someone asked one of the sages, I think a Roman philosopher asked one of the sages and said to him, if God doesn't want idolatry, sun worship, moon worship, He should destroy the celestial bodies. That way there's no moon or no sun to worship. And his response was brilliant. He says, do you think because of some fools, God will destroy His own universe? Because some people will make a mistake and use technology for destructive purposes, God will not give us that power, that enormous power in nature to be able to do so much good? In other words, we're given many, many blessings, and every blessing, every form of energy, atomic and nuclear energy, can create devastation like no other. And yet it could also create tremendously good things. A kitchen knife can be used to cut food, and without it we don't have the ability to do that, but it could also be used to hurt someone. Solar energy. If the earth was too hot, it would burn up. You need heat, but too much heat is not enough, and too little heat is also not. So it's all about balance. So where's the root of evil in this context? Using the Lurianic, the great mystic, the Lurianic principle and doctrine of Tzimtzum, it was a concealment. It was literally like the parent refraining and restraining themselves from trying to impact the conclusion by letting choice take place. And for that we need independent consciousness. The example given for it is of a parent hiding from the child in order to elicit the ingenuity of the child to find the parent. But the parent hides so well, the child may give up. And once they give up, they say, maybe there is no parent. Maybe there is no God. Maybe there's nothing out there. I'm on my own. And that can lead, if I'm on my own, I can do whatever I like. When Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, what happened was their independent consciousness suddenly took hold. That's why after they ate from the tree, they became aware of their own nakedness. Before that, they were like children, a newborn child, an infant. There's nothing wrong. You're not self-conscious about yourself or about your sexuality. And that's why God says to Adam as the Bible tells us in the book of Genesis, right in the beginning, Adam hides from God, and God says, where are you? And everyone asks the question, what do you mean? He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't ask him where he was physically. Where are you spiritually? I don't see you. I don't recognize you. You're not aligned with me. You're not aligned with the purpose of your life. It's like sometimes you're sitting near someone, they space out, and you say, where are you? You know where they are physically. They're not present with you. You don't feel their heart, their soul. You don't feel that they're with you. So we have that choice. Will we be with the program, with the purpose of our existence? Will we choose that? Like the Bible later says, there are two paths in life, the path of life and the path of death. Choose life. Choose the connection. Choose an aligned life a spiritually healthy life, a psychologically, emotionally healthy life, a life of love, of connection, transcendence, unity, humility, as opposed to a selfish, narcissistic, self-absorbed, self-interest driven life. Purpose-centric instead of egocentric. That's the choice. That choice can lead down the worst possible road. Were there not that choice, and it would have been just divine consciousness, as Rabbi Isaac Luria says, there could never be no evil. There could be no one getting up and saying, in the name of my interest, I'm going to hurt other people. Because we're all one. Everything is one seamless unity. The human race is one organism. How could one part of an organism attack another part of it? It would be like the body attacking itself, one of the worst possible diseases. We're not aware, we're blinded. We're blinded because of the independent consciousness that we have. So now let's go back to Satan. Is Satan real? So there's an interesting Talmud that answers and says that Satan actually has divine intentions, has a plan. God appointed Satan and said, look, I have angels that I'm going to appoint, we'll call an angel a force, a divine energy. Angels that will help mankind to become better people. But I have other angels that I will tempt the human race, like the hiding of the parent. So Satan says, I don't want this job. Why are you sending me with such a terrible job? And God says, no, I need you. I need you to bring out the best in my children, the human race. I need them to choose. But the only way we can know is when they'll be challenged, when they'll be tempted, when they'll be seduced. So unwillingly, Satan does his job, sometimes too good. So Satan is a divine energy that has a purpose. In that sense, it's real. But who really gives it reality? The whole purpose of Satan is that he shouldn't be listened to. So the Talmud continues and says, Satan is right here. It's not just a force out there. It's your own evil inclination. It's your own temptations. Every time you're tempted to hurt someone else, it's a satanic force within you. But it doesn't really have true power because the whole purpose is just to test you, just to challenge you. So if you don't listen to it, actually it dissipates. In other words, it's an evil that's fed by us. The fuel comes from our bad choices. But if you understand that concealment as simply being a force to allow you to be independent, it loses its energy, and actually Satan celebrates. So in the Bible, the place where you find Satan in the book of Job, where Satan speaks to God and says to God, well, this great man that you have, this loyal servant, he's all good when everything is blessed, not when he's challenged. So Satan is doing his job. He's essentially prosecuting angel, trying to find some flaw. The goal is actually that this will all be a test to bring out greater strengths. So in that sense, there is no such concept. There's no concept of original sin, no concept of an evil that's stronger than good. It's essentially the absence of good, or the concealment of the good, if you wish, that allows room that can then be abused. When you think of it that way, it changes the whole perspective. Unfortunately, when it is abused, it can be terrible. I'm not minimizing that. If a person chooses the wrong, look what they can do. Look how people have abused others, parents, children, strangers, others that have hurt other people in the most horrible ways. I hope nobody has ever seen or experienced it, but unfortunately it's out there. That's, of course, the underbelly, the worst side of it all. So-called the concealment gone awry to the point that it's led to who knows what atrocities. So we're not minimizing that element. But that is why we also say that little light dispels darkness. Ultimately, when a force like that takes over, a demonic force that's hurting other people, you have only one choice. You have to go to war with it and eliminate it. But the ultimate elimination is not just destroying that force that has now taken hold and taken such power. It's ultimately bringing so much light that it will dissipate. By saying, that's the negative, the hate, the anger, the destruction, the evil that's perpetrated. I will do something on the side of the good, of light that's stronger, with more passion, than the demonic passions of evil. And that's how we ultimately transform it. So yes, step one is you have to eliminate, just like an infection enters the body, the white blood cells go on to go to war. You have to do everything possible to eliminate the infection, but you don't want just to eliminate it. You want to create a situation where it doesn't come back again. And for that we need to bring back the light. To say that concealment, which led to the worst, was only a stepping stone for me to be independent, to independently choose and be a partner in this process of transforming this world into a beautiful garden. So we're not minimizing. We're not ignoring. We're not escaping from some of the darkest forces in life, darkest times in history. We're just putting a perspective on it. So the answer is Satan is real and not real at the same time. Real, the concealment is real. The challenge is real. The result of it is not the intention. And even Satan himself does not want that result, the result of something bad coming out of it. It's only meant to bring out the best in us. So in the context, if you think of it as a spiritual context, it's that negative energy, we'll call it the concealed energy, that creates something that is like a negative in contrast to the positive, a type of, like I said, restraint. The light has receded, allowing independence. And it manifests in so many ways, in forces that can be demonic, but above all, within each one of us. So there's no demon out there, there's no devil out there that you can point to and blame. It's we feed that fire. Our fears, our insecurities, all the things that block us from connecting to the integral unity that unites us all. Now, obviously, this is a topic that deserves a lot more time and energy, but I hope I did some justice to it, but I want to bring it into practical. We're living in a world where there are wars, there are people hurting other people. So number one, yes, we have to do everything possible to defend and protect the innocent. That goes without saying. You must eliminate the infection. But above all, we have to see it as a wake-up call to draw from us, extract from us deeper strengths to bring far, far more light that will counter those negative forces and use that very energy to redirect it instead of feeding the dark, to feed the light, to become more passionate for good than some are passionate for hate, more passionate for love than some who are passionate for destruction. And each one of us plays a critical role in this process, both individually and the impact we have on others. So may we join together in a synergetic way, create something greater than the sum of the parts. And at the end of the day, Satan himself, the serpent itself, will thank us because we ultimately help them fulfill their purpose, which was to bring out that powerful strength from within us. God bless you all. God bless the world. God bless people. Protect the innocent. And may we fulfill our role and our mission in turning this concealed world, this independent world, into a world that is completely aligned with its divine, higher, transcendent purpose. Thank you so much. This has been Simon Jacobson. MeaningfulLife.com is our website where you can find this and many other programs. Please subscribe to our offerings, to our YouTube channel. Share, feedback, comments, thoughts, suggestions, all welcome, more than welcome. Be blessed and be well. Thank you.
Scattamo stanotti, viri come balla, sutta e fanali chi si scidica. Ballamo stanotti, salta come un'anna, chi pettini di luna in sciolla. Gira musica, gira e non si ferma, come una galla do vento aita. Attira con narina, tamburello e abbacia come sua figliola. Scattamo stanotte, viri come balla, sotto e fanali chi si scindica. Ballamo stanotte, salta come un'anna, chi pettini di luna in sciolla. Sinni e tunu, i voti si danno, tu na poco gli bevutia. Sin da fettunu, i cappotti russi e si ricordano da notte buona. Scattamo stanotte, vini come balla, su te fanali chi si scindica. Ballamo stanotte, salta come un'anna, chi pettini di luna in sciolla.